Hi everyone, I'm Govt. I'm a senior consultant at Samagra, and in this video, I'll be taking you through the journey of GO-SUGAM, a part of the Connect program with the Department of Agriculture and Farmers Empowerment and the Fisheries and Animal Resource Development Department of the Government of Odisha. This initiative is helping both the departments streamline the delivery of schemes and services and ultimately help both the farmers and officials in efficient delivery of schemes. In this video, I'll be taking you through the challenges that both the farmers and officials used to face earlier, how the intervention was conceptualized, designed, developed, and implemented, and ultimately what impact has it had on the agricultural scheme and service delivery of the state. Before going further, let us understand the scale of the various schemes and services being run by both these departments. So there are 80 plus schemes with more than 500,000 beneficiaries and an annual budget of 4,000 crore plus that both these departments have cumulatively. How do they implement schemes on ground? The schemes are implemented through various directorates and agencies that the departments have. Before going further, let us also understand the types of schemes that are there in agricultural space in the state of Odisha. There are push-based schemes and then there are pull-based schemes. Push-based schemes are schemes where the government and the department is trying to introduce some new technology, but there is not enough demand on ground. That is why the department has to push those schemes through its machinery onto the ground to show the proof of concept to farmers. In case of pull-based schemes, these schemes are typically for technologies that are already established and there is enough demand on ground. In case of pull-based schemes, generally, the targets of those schemes given by department are always outnumbered by the number of applicants. So there is an inherent pull from applicants for these schemes. This intervention and today's video will be mainly focusing on pull-based schemes. Let us look at the challenges farmers used to have while applying to these pool-based schemes earlier. So let us take an example of Naresh ji, who was a farmer and he used to face multiple challenges for applying for these schemes. The first challenge was about awareness. As we saw, there are more than 80 plus schemes and there was not a single repository where all the guidelines were accessible and available. They were available on department websites, but in a very scattered manner. So it was difficult for Naresh ji to be aware about these schemes, their guidelines. Second problem was around accessibility. For the schemes which were more popular, they had their own individual websites. So if Naresh ji wanted to access these schemes, he had to go to multiple websites to apply for those schemes to understand their guidelines. And apart from that, in addition to the schemes, if Naresh ji had to take some other permissions from other departments such as Pollution Control Board or Electricity Board, he had to go to either their websites or physically to those departments to get these additional services also, which were required by him to implement the agricultural schemes and services. So second problem was of accessibility. Third problem was of visibility. Let's say the problem of awareness and accessibility was not there in the case of Naresh ji, and he applied for an scheme through the block official or the district official. But still, there was a problem of visibility. Once his application was given to the department official, it was very difficult for him to track if his application was approved, if it was pending, if it was declined. He did not know the reason if the application was declined. Then he did not get to know the reason why it was rejected. In some cases, it used to be the case that some document is not in shape and they had to revert that application. The officials had to revert that application. But that process was also very difficult and there was no visibility for Naresh ji. So we saw three key problems. One was awareness, second was accessibility, and third was visibility. This was from the perspective of a farmer, Naresh ji. Now let us look at these problems from the perspectives of a field official. Let us take an example of Rabi ji. He also used to face multiple challenges in delivering these schemes. His first challenge was demand visibility. So even before this intervention, all the schemes used to run in a push-based manner, right? So let's say if there is a scheme which has an inherent demand on ground, but Rabi ji used to get a fixed target for that scheme. So let's say he got a target to reach out to 100 beneficiaries and give that scheme to 100 beneficiaries in his blog. He used to identify 100 beneficiaries exactly. Beneficiaries used to complete work and subsidy was released to these beneficiaries. But what was being missed out was the number of other farmers who were also interested in getting that scheme. There was no MIS or database of those farmers who were interested in that scheme but were not able to get the scheme because of target limitation. So that part was completely missed out, and the latent demand for schemes was not getting registered at any stage. So there was no visibility on the actual demand for the specific scheme, and this used to make it difficult for the department also to plan the scheme out for next year. Second problem was of tracking and monitoring. Because this was happening offline, there was no real-time visibility on achievement of a scheme. As we can see here, everything was being tracked in Excels and which were shared and circulated post facto, leaving very little room for course correction throughout the implementation of a scheme. Also, lack of real-time visibility meant that the course correction or reviews were only taken at the specific cadence that was decided, and it was happening in certain schemes that there were no reviews for, if there were no reviews for a couple of months, then it was very difficult for course correction. And the third problem was around malpractices, where complaints of malpractices from beneficiaries were there, where they were saying that some kind of bribe or support is being asked by beneficiaries. And this was also not getting registered because everything was running in an offline manner. To solve for this, GO-SUGAM was envisaged. GO-SUGAM is Government of Odisha's single window unified gateway for agrarian management. And the idea was to transform the scheme and service delivery of agricultural schemes. So let us look at what was the scale of GO-SUGAM. So GO-SUGAM encompasses 5 directorates of the Department of Agriculture as well as Fisheries and Animal Resource Development Department. And it also encompasses certain other departments like we said earlier, the Pollution Control Board and the Energy Board and certain services of those schemes, of those departments. There are more than 50 plus schemes, 70,000 beneficiaries. This was the number that of the beneficiaries that have already taken schemes through SUGAM till May of 2023. And the schemes that are there on GO-SUGAM, the budgetary outlays of more than 1,000 crore. So the work on SUGAM was done on basically 2 fronts. One is developing the GO-SUGAM portal, its design, conceptualization, design, development. And the second part was adoption of GO-SUGAM. Now let us look at both these parts one by one. First, we'll look at how GO-SUGAM was designed. So basically, the system was envisaged with 3 key features. One was web portal and app to make it accessible for both the farmers and officials. The app should have an offline feature so that in cases of remote areas where it is difficult to, where there is no network, the farmer verification and the application verification should not suffer. And third is it should be integrated with external departments. The second key feature was dashboards, which would help in real-time review and monitoring of the schemes. The dashboards had to be cascaded so that a block level officer could see his own performance, a district could see performance of all their blocks, and the state could see performance of all districts and blocks. It should have target setting module. The department at the state level and the districts at their level should have option to set targets and redistribute targets basis the actual demand of schemes on ground. And then there are scheme specific reports. And the third key feature was an admin panel, which should have a easy scheme configuration form, which can be leveraged by the department official, reducing the dependency on the tech vendor. Workflow configuration and user management, that the admin panel should be able to add as much users and as many users with as much functionality as required by the department. Also, some functionalities were decided that should help Naresh ji. Like we understood the problem in the earlier part of the presentation of awareness, accessibility, and visibility. So the portal should have repository of all scheme information with live query support. Second thing is online application and pre-filling data from the farmer registry, that is Krushak Odisha, that is available in the state, to reduce the burden of filling the application form. So the fields that the farmer has already filled in the farmer's registry should get automatically fetched. Third is status tracking throughout the application process, so that Naresh ji is on top as to where his application is pending, with which official and for how many days, so that he can go and ask that official in case there is a big delay in processing of his application. And last thing is online subsidy directly in the bank accounts. So the intervention or the portal should have all these functionalities was the decision. Second, let us look at the functionalities for the official Rabi ji. Firstly, he should be able to select beneficiaries online and process their application online. What used to happen earlier was the application processing was also happening offline. Here we wanted to have it online so that real-time application processing visibility is also there. Second is online management of subsidy release. He should be able to upload the subsidy release certificate online itself, so that the farmer is also aware that the subsidy has come to his account. Third is dashboards for review and monitoring, and then feedback for ground for scheme guidelines revision. To do this, so basically these functionalities were decided that the portal should have all these functionalities, the initial three key functionalities, and these problems that it should solve for both Naresh ji and Ravi ji. With this in mind, a diagnostic study was done to identify the best solution for implementation. What this meant was all the existing portals of the department were studied, and it was checked if we can you know, recalibrate an existing portal to have all these functionalities. And basis the analysis, it was decided that an RFP has to be done and a vendor has to be onboarded for a new development, because all the functionalities that were needed, it was very difficult to incorporate it in the existing systems that the government had. So basis this, an RFP was floated for onboarding a vendor for developing GO-SUGAM. In addition to the RFP parameters, RFP is basically the request for proposal or tender, as we say in layman terms. In addition to the RFP parameters, vendors were also benchmarked on similar existing products in their portfolio. So vendors who had delivered or developed some kind of scheme service delivery mechanism in either in this state or in other states. So all the vendors were benchmarked on those parameters as well. Scheme officers from directorates were mobilized to finalize scheme workflows and onboard schemes on GO-SUGAM. So while the RFP was going on, parallelly all the schemes that were to be onboarded on GO-SUGAM were finalized. For this, nodal officers were identified. The schemes were listed down as to which schemes were pull-based schemes and were to be brought onto the GO-SUGAM portal. What should be their workflows and how should they run on the portal was decided by scheme officers from directorates. A detailed list of features was created to prioritize development. And as we can see, we had multiple categories such as must-have features and good-to-have features, so that the development can be prioritized. And this list also helped the vendor to focus on features that needed more development efforts and were priority for both the department as well as the tech vendor. The development, all of this development was also being tracked through a development tracker. Weekly development reviews with the tech vendor were anchored around this tracker. This also helped the government to have a confidence on the timelines that were being provided by the vendor about the development of the portal. With all of this work done, GO-SUGAM was ready for launch by the end of April 2022. But this is just one part of the puzzle about creating a portal and how the process was. The second key part in any government setting is adoption of these tech portals, and how do we go to the ground, ensuring that there are lesser hiccups in implementing these solutions. So now let us look at the work done on adoption part for the GO-SUGAM portal. For this, like we had discussed earlier, there were scheme officers who had decided scheme workflows. These officers run the schemes in their own directorates, but a nodal officer from each directorate was identified and given the responsibility of being the face with the field staff. This helped in increasing the ownership among the departments, and these officers were held to account regarding whatever queries were being raised from the ground and their resolution. And also, these officers were set up as the spokes with the tech vendor so as to reduce the dependency on consultants, and they could directly have discussions with tech vendors going ahead. This also helped in leading sustainability in the system. Second was, now we have nodal officers who are discussing with the tech vendor as to how we need to take this portal or take this portal to ground. But what was also needed was extensive training of the field staff. So a 3-day in-person training program across all the 30 districts was organized for seamless rollout of the portal. So 6 team members and 4 department officials visited all 30 districts in 3 days. They trained district and block level officials on GO-SUGAM portal, its functionalities, how will it help them, what could be the possible queries from farmers. And a detailed demonstration and FAQ sessions were conducted in all 30 districts. This is very much required to ensure that the implementation is as seamless as possible. But in any tech implementation, there would always be some kind of tech issues or glitches that would be coming up, especially in the initial rollout phase. For this, a formal issue escalation and resolution cadence was set up with monthly reviews at the directorate level, nodal officer level, and with the tech vendor as well. Fortnightly meetings were happening with nodal officers and tech team to institutionalize issue reporting and tracking. How were the issues being reported? So multiple WhatsApp groups were formed for direct interface between the help desk of the tech team and the field functionaries. This helped in proactive resolution of issues. So when some issues used to come, there was resolution within 24 to 48 hours of those issues. Creating ownership in the department, this helped creating ownership in the field officials, because now they could directly interact with the tech vendor and get help from the tech vendor. And then detection of systemic issues. The team sitting at the directorate and the state level could see what were the kind of issues being raised. And if certain kind of issues were being raised with higher frequency, then that helped in detection of these systemic issues. A tech issue tracking and resolution mechanism was created, wherein all the systemic issues that were being reported were tracked. Their reason was given by tech vendor, timelines of resolution were given, and what was ensured was that before implementing the solution on the live portal, it was tested and approved by the department to again increase the ownership within the department and to bring everyone on the same page. So issue resolution and testing was done by department and field officials before sign off on making the changes live. With all this system created, a rigorous IEC campaign was designed and launched for farmers awareness. So department awareness was being done through the district visits and district trainings in all the 30 districts. But for creating awareness within farmers, a comprehensive IEC campaign was designed and launched. With this, both the parts of the puzzle were there. The portal was ready, developed and ready, and the adoption, at least the preliminary work needed for adoption, was done. And with this, the portal was launched by Honorable Chief Minister of Odisha in May of 2022. There are currently around 59 schemes on the portal, and the portal has now become the de facto choice for the agriculture department as well as the fisheries and animal resource department, development department, for delivery of any pool based schemes. Not only that, services from other departments required for agri and allied schemes are also integrated with GO-SUGAM portal. So if I am an agri entrepreneur and I need to get a pollution certificate, I can apply for that certificate from SUGAM portal itself. So I can apply for the scheme that I need on SUGAM portal and apply for other services that I need from other departments to get that scheme and implement that scheme from GO-SUGAM portal itself. With all of this done, let us now look at how this has helped Naresh ji, the farmer. As we had again bringing you back to the initial points that we had discussed about accessibility, awareness, and visibility. So now let us look at how the portal has helped Naresh ji, the farmer. First is a repository and query support. As we can see, this is a single portal where a farmer can come and get to know about schemes of all the departments at one place. He can look at the guidelines, their brief description, and apply for those schemes. Beneficiaries can also call the Ama Krushi call center, which is the centralized farmer call center in the state, to avail assistance on issues on the GO-SUGAM portal. Issues such as how do I apply to these schemes? What are these guidelines? My application is stuck and I'm not able to proceed ahead. All these kind of queries are being resolved through this Amakrushi helpline, which is the centralized helpline or farmer helpline of the state. More than 6,000 queries have been resolved by the helpline staff till now. So this helps in the awareness and accessibility challenge that we had discussed earlier. 99%, a survey done of the farmers, 99% of the farmers said that they were satisfied with the issue resolution support provided by the helpline. Second is online application. Now, initially, when farmers need to apply to the schemes, they had to go to by default to their government office or officer. But now with this portal, they can apply through a web portal and app on their own if they are progressive enough. They can also go to the government office. They can also go to the common service center where we generally go to apply for and updation of other Aadhaar and other such things. And then there is a equivalent of common service centers called Mo Seva Kendra in the state of Odisha. They can go to Mo Seva Kendra also to apply for these schemes. So there are more than 1.8 lakh total applications that have been received on GO-SUGAM portal for various schemes listed on the portal. And the surprising thing is 44% of farmers have applied on their own without the help of a government official. This has helped in solving the earlier challenge that we had talked about the accessibility challenge. Now the schemes are more accessible to farmers and they can apply to those schemes as per their own comfort. Third thing is status tracking. As we can see here at the top, that they can see each and every action with when was the action taken, by whom was the action taken, at what point was the action taken. And if there was any remark against that action, then that can also be seen. We can see that the district official has said that he's waiting for a lease agreement. That means the lease agreement is not there, and that's why the application is not being processed. So this visibility has come to the farmer. Also, on multiple steps, the farmers receive SMSs. So when a go ahead is generated for their application, SMS is triggered. So more than 250,000 SMSs have been triggered till now, of which 1,70,000, more than 1,70,000 SMSs have been delivered. And 66% farmers received regular SMS alerts. And the last part is online subsidy release. Again, we can see here that the subsidy was sanctioned by CDPO on, in this case, on 6th of January. The amount of subsidy is written there, unit cost is written, and how much subsidy was sanctioned against that unit cost is also written. So complete transparency and visibility is available for the farmer. A survey done of farmers who have taken schemes through GO-SUGAM was done, and 99% farmers said that there were no bribes taken, and 99% farmers said that correct subsidy was received. This was not only validated through the numbers from the GO-SUGAM portal, but also through beneficiary surveys. So a survey was done of 1921, around 2,000 respondents of farmers who had received go-aheads through GO-SUGAM. and 98% said that they were satisfied with the GO-SUGAM portal as a platform to avail schemes and services. And 97% people said that they would recommend GO-SUGAM to others. But these were the farmers who had received go-aheads and had received subsidies. What was done was also the survey for experience of farmers whose go-aheads were rejected or whose applications were rejected was also done. And 80% of those farmers were also satisfied with the ease of application that was there on GO-SUGAM portal. And 91% suggested that they would recommend GO-SUGAM portal to others. So this was the change in the lives of agricultural beneficiaries. Now let us also look at the how this has helped Rabiji, the official. First, how this has helped them is the beneficiary selection process and app processing has completely gone online. So if I have a target of 10, earlier what used to happen is I only push the scheme to 10 people and that was it. But now I have a list of 20 applications, let's say, in my blog, and I then choose basis first in first out basis those who have applied first. I go to their place, verify if their application is correct or not, their documents are in place or not, and either process their application or reject their application. So 80% of officials have reported that the beneficiary selection has eased out because of GO-SUGAM portal. And 87% said that easier application processing. So first is selection, that has also eased out, and the application processing is also eased out because now there is real-time visibility to the senior officials also, and the back and forth that used to happen on phones has reduced. With this, more than 70,000 go-aheads have been generated against received applications. This has also, so the online selection and processing of applicants has also helped in another way to the department. What used to happen typically was that the targets were being communicated to districts in the month of April and May, and the beneficiary selection used to start somewhere in July, August, or September because there was no ready availability of beneficiaries. Once the application, the portal was launched in 2022, the department had a lot of applications that they received in 2022, which were more than the targets for this scheme. So what was done was that for financial year 23-24, all the applications which were not given go ahead and which were pending were moved to the next financial year. Now, on the 1st of April, the block level officer had a ready list of potential beneficiaries with them, and targets were set in the first week of April itself. And the F&ARD department was able to give around 33% of the target go-aheads the first 3 months of the year, which has happened for the first time in the history of the department. So this has basically reduced the timeline of giving go-aheads from October to April, reducing the time to complete the scheme and improve the financial achievement for the department as well. So this has helped the department in streamlining its financial achievement also. Second part for officials is the online management of subsidy. They can directly upload the subsidy on the portal itself. How much subsidy is released is visible there, and more than 55,000 subsidies have been released against the go-aheads. What has also happened is the end-to-end processing time has reduced from earlier 124 days to 67 days. What this means is that whatever the time taken by officials from the first stage of application verification to subsidy release has reduced by around 45% from earlier. The third thing this has helped in is real-time review and monitoring. As we can see, cascaded reviews are being done at district level, directorate level, and the department level with the help of the dashboards of GO-SUGAM portal. And department is pushing that data available only on GO-SUGAM portal will be taken as the truth, and all the scheme achievement will be tracked against this data only. This has helped in standardizing the kind of reviews that were happening in the state. Earlier, what was happening was every district used to have its own format, but because a consistent dashboard across the state the review formats have also been standardized. And the last thing is this has also helped in some policy changes. For example, we have two examples here, one from the Fisheries Department and second from the Soil Jalnidhi Department. These are from the financial year 22-23 and 23-24. So in the financial year 22-23, there was a scheme called layer poultry farming in cage system. Very less applications were received due to low demand. So the scheme was reverted to its earlier technology called deep litter system, and the scheme received 1.5x of target applications in the first month itself. So this policy change was possible because the real-time visibility on applications. Similarly, there is a scheme called Soil Jalnidhi being delivered by the Directorate of Agriculture. Progress of the scheme was very low for 3 months continuously, and this low achievement was continuously flagged in monthly review meetings. And the director then agreed to reallocate the budget from this scheme for that financial year to some other scheme. So these policy changes have come in because of the real-time visibility of application processing and achievement that has been brought in by GO-SUGAM portal. Just like with the beneficiaries, surveys of officials were also done, and that also shows very high satisfaction among officials. 88% said that the application was helpful in scheme processing and application tracking, and 86% officials reported that they were satisfied overall with GO-SUGAM. With this, we saw the challenges that were faced by the farmers, awareness, accessibility, and visibility, how GO-SUGAM is solving for those challenges, and then the challenges faced by the officials, demand visibility, malpractices, and offline review and monitoring because of offline processing of application, and how the portal has transformed the ways by which schemes and services were being delivered in the state. So just to summarize and tie it all together again, how GO-SUGAM is changing the scheme delivery experience for beneficiaries and officials in the state of Odisha. First thing, online applications, more than 1,73,000 applications with 44% beneficiaries applying without the help of government officials. Beneficiary selection and processing, 70,000 go-aheads, 70,000 plus go-aheads given, and 80% officials said that beneficiary selection has become easier. Subsidy received by farmers, 99% farmers said that no bribe was taken and correct subsidy was received. Subsidy management by officials, 53,000 subsidies were released, processing time of overall application processing reduced by approximately 45%. And review and monitoring, dashboards are driving review of schemes across the hierarchy at the district level, block level, directorate level, and department level. Through all of this, GO-SUGAM is trying to transform the scheme and service delivery within the state of Odisha. This was around GO-SUGAM that the Connect program has implemented in Odisha with the help of the Agriculture Department as well as the Fisheries and Animal Resource Development Department. Thank you.